On today's episode of the Wunder Bar Podcast, we dive deep into the 3-month period of Black Ops 6 Zombies since launch, and we talk about the highs and lows Treyarch has gone through, and we discuss what Treyarch has done for the community and what they can do better for us. Let's get into it. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first episode of the Wunder Bar Podcast. My name is Matt, or it's Perket, and I'm joined here by my co-host, Revived Gamer. How are you doing, Revived?
Good, brother. How are you doing today?
I am doing much better. So me and Revived have been planning to do this podcast before Black Ops 6 even launched, all the hype with Black Ops 6 pre-launch was insane. We had so many plans to do it, but once Black Ops 6 launched, it was a great launch, I would say. And we kind of got addicted and such, and we just couldn't stop playing. So, but right now, since it's kind of a down period between maps and such and content, I thought it'd be a great idea to bring the podcast finally into fruition. So yeah, here we are. The Wunder Bar Podcast is finally live and ready to go.
Yes, sir.
So first off, before we get into any of the topics, I need to, address what happened to me for the past month, because I know I haven't uploaded anything since Christmas with the Liberty Falls update and such, or what was it called? Jingle Hells. So I've just been sick. That's plain and simple. I've just not been feeling great. And if you could still hear my voice, I'm still trying to recover from it. So I'm still not 100%, but I'm still recovering. But I'm feeling much better, and I thought it would be a great time to record a podcast, because there's a lot of things to talk about with the state of Black Ops 6 and also the new stuff that has came out with Treyarch's communication within the past few days and such. So yeah, we're definitely be talking about that and giving our thoughts and opinions on it. So yeah, so that's pretty much what's been going on. So content is going to resume. Obviously with this podcast is going to come out whenever there's some huge topics to talk about and such. And if we can get guests on, that'd be also great, and we'll talk with them and see how they feel. But yeah, so first off, let's talk about Black Ops 6. And we're already in January, so we went through October, we went through November, we went through December, and we're currently in January. And season 1 still hasn't ended yet, and we're currently still waiting for season 2. We haven't got any marketing for season 2. I think the only thing we've gotten in terms of season 2 is just the date. So it's coming out on Tuesday, January 28th?
8th. Yeah,
28th. So it's coming out on a Tuesday, not a Thursday, which is interesting. I thought it would be on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So it seems like they're moving to
switched up.
Tuesdays now, which is strange. Never thought I'd see that. But yeah, so that's the only thing we have about season 2. We have a date of when it's coming out, and the only thing we know is that they're fixing some stuff like the vermin double hitting, and the Terminus shock charge skip is gonna be making a return, which is interesting, and we'll talk about that later on. But yeah, so that's all we know about season 2 so far. But let's talk about launch until now. So obviously I think me and Revive can agree with each other here that Black Ops 6 is definitely one of the best launches for a Call of Duty. I think we can agree with that. It was one of the best launches.
Yep.
I think everyone collectively enjoyed every single mode, except for Warzone. Obviously, Warzone wasn't out at the time, but multiplayer, I think everyone loved campaign, and zombies, I think, was loved the most, which is insane because the lead up, with Liberty Falls and such, everyone was criticizing the map, everyone was giving some negative reception towards the map and such, and it just flipped the script, and everyone's loving Liberty Falls. Everyone loves Terminus. The Easter eggs drop, we hunt them, and they're a blast. I think I think we can agree and say that they are the best pair of launch maps we have received, probably since I would say BO3 with Shadows of Evil and The Giant. I would say
Yeah. Hmm.
I think that's a great
I
pair of
agree.
launch maps. So it's BO6 definitely had a great launch. What about you, Revive? What do you think about launch for BO6?
I'm honestly surprised the game was even like that polished. Like in terms, well, not surprised, but like I'm like the least amount of bugs I've ever encountered on a COD game at launch. Like there's just so many COD games where I have crashing issues or random issues that just don't make any sense. But like this is the one game where I didn't have any issues at all, really. Like
Yeah,
I literally only think I crashed like one time during like the first like month and a half of the game. Is actually
yeah,
wild.
yeah. It was definitely one of the best launches I've had, and it's definitely one of the craziest launches because I've just been grinding the game 24/7. The last game I did that with was Black Ops 4. That was back in 2018. Um,
Yeah,
Cold War came out in 2020, but even though I grinded that game like crazy, it wasn't as crazy because it was only one map at launch, and that map was super bare bones. Like when you compare Die Machine to what we have at launch for BO6, it's
yeah,
so insane the difference in quality and depth of those maps. I'm just shocked how Die Machine even released as a launch map. And we had that map until the end of January, until Firebase came out, which is insane. And now with Black Ops
yeah.
6, we had two maps, and then in December came Citadel Des Morts, which is the third round based map. And honestly, I'm gonna be honest here. I think Citadel, the lead up to that map, it was super hyped. First off, once they showed
Mhm.
off it was a castle, you immediately thought DE 2.0. And when everyone was thinking about swords and stuff, that even that got me so excited because I was like, damn, we're gonna have elemental swords again or elemental wonder weapons again, four of them, and we're going to a castle and such. So there was a lot of hype for this map, right? And the map came out, and obviously I put some gameplay of our first playthrough of us hunting the Easter egg and such, and overall, I thought the map at launch was great. What you thought about Citadel when the map dropped?
It was really fun, honestly. It was I think really what I love about Citadel so much too is the story of the map was really good. Like just
Yeah,
the environmental storytelling of craft and all the radios and all that was just like that was to me the one of the best parts of the map because it really like it actually gave us some answers to some questions when I feel like in Liberty Falls and Terminus we kind of just got more questions,
yeah,
but Citadel kind of gave us some answers that we were looking for and some big twists. Like to me, I thought the story was like easily my favorite part of the map, just because it was so uh, just creatively put and it was great. So I liked it.
yeah. Um, I was very excited about this map because you know we got the tease of the Sentinel artifact at the end of Terminus, and that alone, you know, sets up like a massive storyline right off the gate, right? Who would have thought the Sentinel artifact would have made an appearance again in Terminus, right? When we were playing Terminus and such, um, I had no idea at all, Prima Materia, Sentinel Artifact, the whole idea of the Chaos story even coming back, that was nowhere near my mind, right?
Especially like no pre-launch, no one even thought for a second that anything like chaos had anything to do with it. Everyone just thought that the whole Vanguard stuff was all like a just a loose end that didn't really mean much. So like it was insane.
Exactly. It was so insane because it was like, okay, it was teased back in Vanguard, but I always thought that was just like a throwaway thing, because
Yeah,
it was in a game that no one cared about, right? So why would you put something so huge like that in a game that no one cares about, right? And now that it comes true in like Black Ops 6, like this, yeah, this is gonna be part of the storyline, which is insane because we played through Cold War, we've played through Vanguard, we played through Modern Warfare Zombies and such, right? And we know that in terms of the Black Ops 6 zombie story, we know what's gonna happen, right? We know at
Yeah.
some point the characters are gonna meet their demise in some shape or form. And we know that they're gonna fail at saving Samantha. But we just never understood or knew what led them to that, right? We don't know the plot points. But now we're finding out that, the whole chaos story is part of it, right? You
Mm-hmm.
have Alistair Rhodes coming back as a character in a radio in Citadel. Right off the gate from Spawn. My reaction to that was insane because you put that in the first radio off of Spawn. Oh my god. You
Oh yeah.
already got me with the story. So that's already insane. Um yeah, so story-wise, I think Citadel was a great map. Um and it did explain some things, but it also did not explain a lot of other things. Which is interesting because I think what was it called? The intro cinematic when Treyarch first posted it, right?
Mm.
They put like three different questions or like three different sentences. So like they put like a man who shouldn't even be alive right now, you know?
Yeah.
So that was one of the biggest questions for us because we were like, wait, how is Kraft still alive? He was old in World War II, but he's still alive in the 90s. So we had this question since Modern Warfare 3 with Ravenov, because Ravenov, is in good shape in the future, in the 20s or 2020s.
Yeah.
And we had this question for a long, long time. How is, Ravenov alive? And we thought we were going to get that answered in Citadel, but we really didn't. And this comes one of my problems with the map. And I think this also comes due to because of the whole AI situation, possibly as well. I don't want to dive too deep into it because everyone already knows the whole AI, but we'll dive deep into it as well. But the map story, it wasn't a lot really, you know. Um, they really missed the mark on really building up the storyline in this map, right? Um, the thing that me and you had a problem with at one point was that in the radios we learned that Kraft adopted a kid. He went to an adoption center. He adopted a boy. Um, I don't know if they said it was Eddie or something. But
No, they did. They did. There might have been there was two different radios that talked about it. I'm pretty sure one of them was just talking about how he went to go uh pick up the boy, and then in the other one you basically explained how Eddie was having nightmares, so we kind of just continued
yeah,
off of the last radio.
yeah. So with that, we already assumed, oh, Eddie is going to be Kraft's adopted son, right? We knew that
Yeah.
was going to be the case. Um, and then the cutscene played, and it basically answered that. But we already knew that because it was alluded
Yeah.
to. So it was like, why did the radio kind of spoil the cutscene beforehand? And then the cutscene really just told us, hey, this is where you're going next. Use this item that you collected during this Easter egg in the next map. And that's it. That's all we learned.
You, you know what's interesting about that too, thinking about it? It's like, think about it this way. If this was Cold War, would they have pulled that? If you think about it, would have they given us that radio? Because I wonder if what Treyarch purposely did was they wanted to tell the story in two different ways, from the perspective of the player and then also the perspective of the crew, and them figuring that out.
True.
Because think about it this way: if it was in Cold War and that was a radio, would that information come out in the same way in that cutscene? I would probably say no,
No, that
So
would
I
have came out
wonder,
in the intel.
yeah, so I wonder if that's what they were trying to go for, if from like a storyboard perspective of like, okay, we're gonna give that information to the player, but it's gonna be kind of like it's a player known thing first, and then throughout the map you're gonna see the characters get revealed that information as well, like a different type of way of going through things, kind of like how in the previous story, like there would be radios, there would be intel and all this other stuff, and I guess like they kind of wanted to go for a different way of like, hey, we're gonna have the crew figure this out as well as the players, as well, so in like a different direction. I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, and speaking with the intel system, right? It's interesting how different the intel system in terms of their ideology on it, right? Um, it's different from Cold War to BO6 because in Cold War the whole intel system, right? Um, I thought it was a great system, right? It's a great system. The only problem I had with it is that the entire story was in the intel, not really
Yeah,
in the cutscenes and the map. Because look how we went from Firebase Outbreak Part 1, Outbreak Part 2 to Mauer, right? How the hell did Valentina get, to be this huge villain in Mauer der Toten? But if you read the intel, you know how that all happened. But that
yeah,
wasn't really present in the cutscenes. The only time Valentina appeared in the cutscene before Mauer was in the Firebase cutscene, and she was like a normal human being there. So you don't know how all that led up to that point in
hmm,
Mauer. Um, so all the storyline beats were in the intel, and I think that was the true problem. I don't think it was the system itself. It was just how they were presenting the story in Cold War.
yeah.
Um,
The cutscenes didn't really have much to offer at all, to be honest.
exactly. Now we're here with BO6, right? We have intro cinematics to the maps now, right? Because the only intro cinematic we had in Cold War was D Machine. That's it.
Yeah,
And then
which is
pretty much
wow.
the
That's
yeah, and pretty much
yeah.
the trailers for those maps in Cold War were the intro cutscenes because it basically explained what you're doing on the map and such. So BO6 now, we have intro cutscenes to the maps now. We have ending cutscenes to the maps now, and we have intel for the maps now. Um but now the intel is so I'm gonna say it's not lackluster because there's still information there present, but it
I would
doesn't
say for
feel.
Citadel, it's not lackluster because I think we learned a lot about Richtofen himself and
Oh
get a
well,
lot
yeah,
of
true,
teasing.
true, yeah,
So I wouldn't say it's lackluster for Citadel, but I would say for the first two maps it was kind of lackluster just because like I didn't really like, I don't know, there wasn't really anything eye popping with that with those pieces.
yeah.
But I would say Citadel turned it up a notch for Intel.
I do want to point out something I really liked how what Terminus did, and this is something that I really kind of want them to do more
Mhm.
is like put more environmental storytelling because the post-it notes on the wall that talk about like time travel and such, like that they attempted it at one point and such. I love that. I think that was my
Yeah.
favorite thing because I've been talking about how time travel could be a part of the story, and I think it still is part of the story because of the whole Ava Jansen thing with Modern Warfare 3 zombies. Um,
Mhm.
so I wanted more of that. I wanted more of that, but I think it's really not present anymore. And then the whole thing as well is that Treyarch also like put the entire like story of the actual location in the blog post, but not in the actual like game itself. So you have to look at the outside resource to get that information. But let's be real here. If they wanted people to really get into the story and such, why would they go to the blog post? They would have to go to the game, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so that was a huge problem there. and I think I understand why people were saying that like the blog posts was giving too much information. I get that now because yeah, it's true. All the information was in the blog post. It was not present in the map at all. So I think that's one of the big problems as well. You have any other things that I forgot to mention or something?
Um, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there, especially because like we didn't really learn about the backstory that much about the castle at all. Really,
Yeah,
all we learned was that um basically that Alistair Rhodes and this other guy basically were here at one point, and then they planned out the what they were gonna do at the dig site and basically go searching for the artifact. That's like the only piece of storytelling and backstory we got about the actual location of the map.
yeah. And I really haven't taken the time to really go into deep into the intel for this game. And I know I'm making like storyline videos and such. But it's like I really don't really have a lot of info to really build theories, right? The only stuff I really use now is like stuff from Modern Warfare Zombies. I'm using stuff from Liberty Falls, like the whole idea of like with the Janus Towers, the mansion, all that stuff. The Liberty
Yeah.
Falls intro cinematic and such. Because we know like that cinematic has no connection at all to the actual map. It's like that cutscene in general should have just been like a Black Ops 6 Zombies cutscene, not for a specific map per se.
That and not just the cutscene, but the my theory is that the end of the Modern Warfare Zombies cutscene also doesn't even explain Liberty Falls, the map itself. I feel
Yeah,
like that map is teasing one of the future maps, or that cutscene.
exactly.
Rather. That
Yeah,
cutscene and the intro cutscene are both teasing more of future maps and the actual Liberty Falls itself, which is interesting because like it kind of like if you really think about it, that means that all of those teases weren't really about Liberty Falls at all. Or like if it was like it's almost like Liberty Falls itself, the map, is like 1/3 of the actual story going on within that area.
yeah. Yeah, I've been saying a while, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, DLC 3 and DLC 4 because of the leaks and such. But these were also mentioned as, areas in, the intel. I don't even know where. I think it was somewhere in like some some wall. I think it was
It
in
was like yeah, it was
Liberty
like on
or
Terminus. It
oh, it
was on
was on
Terminus, like
Terminus. Yeah,
the
somewhere on
one of the
Terminus. Yeah.
walls. It said
Yeah.
something about Janus Towers being one of the other like low outbreak zones.
Yeah, and then the mansion we just know in general because of the cinematic cutscene, and we know
Yeah.
that's where the actual like containment device is, which is Sam, the Sam AI. Um, so yeah, we had this idea for a while. We knew that those were going to be maps in the future, possibly. Um, but now people are starting to see that oh, are they taking place in the same area and such? Um, and honestly, I would say to that is let's wait and see because there's still a whole dimension involved. There's still a whole new concept of the chaos storyline with the Sentinel artifact and such. Um, there's a lot of things they can do to make these maps, even though they're in the same area. They're gonna make it feel like it's not even in that area per se, because
Hmm.
something something interesting, right, is that I feel like Eddie chose Liberty Falls or West Virginia in general because maybe that's a point where the dark ether or like the barrier between the dark ether and the real world is super weak. So that's where he needs to be, and that's where like this whole thing needs to take place. And I think um we really see that because Modern Warfare 3 Zombies, the ending where Ava Jansen gets taken away into the dark ether and such, like you see the veil there is like pretty weak, you know, and um even Ravenoff knows that place is dangerous, even after they already dealt with this, right?
Mhm.
Ravenoff already dealt with that whole situation, but now he knows that area is so dangerous because of its connection to the Dark Ether, and we just still don't know what's going to be taking place yet. So that's why I say I think we should definitely wait until we see what's going to happen in terms of the story with those two areas. We know we're
Yep.
going to the dig site in the next map, and I know a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, the top part looks like the Warzone map and such." And I always have to clarify this for people because people seem to forget. But like Treyarch said, that they're gonna make original assets, new areas, and such for their maps for zombies. They're not gonna be taking anything from campaign or multiplayer. So you gotta make that clear. And I definitely think this map is gonna be like a huge underground type of map, like Ancient Evil. I think this is definitely gonna be like an Ancient Evil type of map. I definitely think we have to see the trial of the Sentinel artifact at this point. Um, I think it's
Mhm.
been set up a lot. I thought it was gonna be in Citadel, but it kind of made sense that this map was not gonna be the case for that. It was just gonna be a lead up to find something that leads us to the Sentinel artifact, which we thought
Yep.
Kraft was gonna join us and such, but unfortunately, he died in the cutscene, but he gave us the amulet and such. So this amulet's gonna be something that we use in order to find the Sentinel artifact, which leads us to the dig site and probably the underground area of it. So, yeah, this is going to be a huge release, possibly. I think I'm more excited about this map than Citadel, but I'm kind of keeping my expectations in check because maybe they're not going to do the whole, Sentinel artifact trial and
Bro,
such.
I hope so though, bro. You know how insanely cool it'll be
Oh, yeah,
if you get like the like how you act like a Sentinel artifact and like turn on back a punch and stuff like they have to do that, bro. They have to. Like
yeah,
there's just it just makes too much sense. Like why like because think about it. If they already explained how they created this dig site and they already dug through the whole of the dig site to find the artifact, it would make sense to me that maybe they did find the artifact, but then when they encountered it, they got sucked up into the trial, which obviously probably led to whoever found its death. So then it would make sense if we go into the map, we go down the tunnels, go underground, and then discover it and activate the trial. Like it just would make so much sense.
yeah. Yeah, there is definitely a chance that we may see that. They have been teasing it because one of the prestige rewards as you go up to prestige master in Black Ops 6, one of them is like a spray of the
Yep.
actual like chaos wall buy, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
they have the asset in place and they know what people will think when they see that.
Yeah, it's
So
literally Alistair Rhodes's dig site too. Like it literally would make so much sense.
yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely excited about DLC 2 and such. But with all the positives of Black Ops 6, right? We had a great time at launch. I think we had a great time with the Easter egg hunts. I think um Easter eggs Easter egg hunt wise, I think they've gotten a bit better. But they're still not at a point where, they're like super difficult, right? Um how do you feel about the Easter egg hunts right now in Black Ops
Um,
6 Zombies?
yeah, I agree. I think there's definitely some sort of factors, whether it's they're a little like the Easter eggs tend to be a little short or something of that nature, but I also think it's a part of like the fact that everyone gets to hunt them now. So it's just like
Yeah,
it's super hard to like really expect them to do anything crazy when there's not going to be like a Revelations Rock type of step where it's like that random. And I feel like even if that happened again, it would get solved way quicker.
exactly. Um, yeah, I definitely agree on that. I think they could make a map so in depth. They could make it so in depth. Um, and I still think the Easter eggs will be solved within 8 hours, less than 8 hours, maybe even less than 6. Um, I just think the community has just gotten so good at Easter egg hunting. We know all the tricks and stuff. We know, the formula of how an Easter egg works. So it comes to a point where, like, well, if Treyarch keeps on doing the same thing, we're just gonna solve the same thing every time. So we already know what to do and such. And I think really where they're trying to make Easter eggs difficult is in the boss fights. Um, but something I'm not a fan with a lot with the boss fights in BO6, and this is just a personal preference, but like they're mostly like bullet sponges, right? You have to shoot you have to shoot them a lot. That's pretty much the entire fight. And you gotta avoid their attacks. And yeah, I know previous boss fights have done that, but like think about like DE, right? In DE, you have to survive waves of zombies for a bit, run around, and then you have to place your rags in the middle. And try to avoid the wipe attack. And then once you do that, you full fire into the keeper. And then from there, in the second phase, you have to um fight panzers, and then you have to try to charge up your uh, Ragnaroks again in order to do damage to the keeper once again. But there may be a point where you don't have enough kills to fill up the Ragnaroks, so you have to hide behind one of the pillars in order to avoid the wipe attack. So that boss fight I really like. It was really simple. I know a lot of people failed that boss fight when it first came out. I remember I even failed it a lot of times. But now, like when you do the boss fight now, is like everyone knows what to do, and it's a pretty simple boss fight. But I
Yeah.
really like boss fights like that that really adds a whole different mechanic other than just shooting the boss infinitely, right? Um, and another thing as well is like I know they're trying to like throw so many things at you, and I'm not personally a fan of it. You know, sometimes I feel like the boss fight should be between you and the boss, right? I think a
Mhm.
great example of this is Mephistopheles, which is one of the best boss fights in zombies, hands down. Um, you know, there's the first 5 phases, you know, you're fighting Mephistopheles, you're avoiding his attacks, and you're trying to uh, what's it called? Charge up the talismans and such. And then, you have the occasional zombies there coming out at you, but it's not a lot. Really, the real boss fight there is, you're avoiding Mephistopheles' attacks. And then once you charge up the thing, you're gonna fight different waves of zombies, and it's a variety each time. It gets difficult as you go through the different talismans and such. And then eventually, once you reach the second phase, it's full on you versus Mephistopheles with everything coming at you. Right? It led you up to that point, and I think that's what a boss fight should be. It should be you versus the boss, and then once it gets to the point where the boss is about to die, just throw everything at you. I think that's
Yeah.
what really they should be doing with boss fights, not just making the boss.
Especially
Yeah,
especially like in Horizon Drac where during the actual part where you shoot the boss, like you're just shooting the boss, like there's no other real enemies that are gonna hit you.
yeah,
But like during the specific rounds where there's zombies, and it gets a little harder with the panzers and all that.
exactly.
So that
Yeah,
I think that's what they should do. I think why they do all the boss spam now is because of how health works, where like you could take a bunch of freaking hits. So like
yeah.
you might as well like just spam everything, or else they're worried that it'll be too easy if they
It'll be
don't
too
put a
easy.
lot of bosses. Or I think with that, they just need to find the right balance of making the enemy's attacks difficult enough.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, overall, I think boss fights are great. I think the best one in BO6, in my opinion, I'm gonna say it's I would say it's probably Patient 13, honestly. Um, I like the Citadel boss, and I really do, but I think what they really lack there is using incantations against him. I think they should have added more mechanics towards that boss. Like in certain crit points, you have to use this specific incantation, and from there you can damage him with it. And then it's another area lights up and is a different one. So you have to switch between the incantations. They put the incantations in the boss fight, but really the only one you're going to be using most of the time is the light one because it heals you. So
Yep.
I mean they kind of missed the mark with that boss. Still a great boss regardless, but it definitely could have been way better. Um so yeah, that's my thoughts on the boss fights. Easter egg hunts, like I said, you know, they the community has just gotten better at finding them. I mean, the only real thing they can really do is change up the formula because everyone knows the formula. Open pap, get Wonder Weapon for this specific step, Easter egg, boss fight, done. That's it. That's that's always been the formula. So they really need to change it up at one point, you know. Um because everyone knows you got to get the Wonder Weapon. Everyone will pop their Wonder Bar, get the Wonder Weapon, and that's it. You know, so
Yeah.
that's a lot of things that they have to change up and such.
No, I
Uh,
agree. Absolutely.
yeah. So yeah, but overall, um, I like Black Ops 6. It's a great game. Has its issues though. Um, and one of the things that you know happened last week, which was on January 3rd, is that they nerfed fun, which is funny. Because everyone's been saying that for a long time. Why is Treyarch nerfing fun and such? You know, why they do that. And I agree. There's points where Treyarch just nerfs stuff for no reason at all. Right? And I think one of the biggest things, I know a lot of people say like, oh, it's an exploit. Speedrunners shouldn't be using this. Speedrunners shouldn't be, exploiting and such. But I think people who say that really haven't seen speedruns, right?
Nor they even know what. That's my problem too. They don't even know what the actual exploit was. The
Yeah,
people that are saying that, it's like, okay, well, to me, it's just like any other game. Like if you're speedrunning Mario and you know like a secret route to take when you're going through the levels, like that's just knowledge. It's not really something where like, especially when it's a PvE mode and it's not affecting other players. I don't really see an issue in there being an exploit or whatever you want to call it, a trick that helps you in the game.
yeah,
When
exactly,
only like 1% of players even know about it, if that, probably less. Probably the
exactly,
0.5%.
yeah. So yeah, like Mario, I think one of the best speedrunning games is Super Mario 64. And
Yep.
that alone is because of, the crazy amount of movements and stuff that people can do and such. But, if you're doing like the other than the 120 star category, you're doing the 0 star, 1 star, 16 star categories, you're going to be using crazy exploits, right? You're going to be using some crazy exploits, and a lot of people love those speedruns. I love those speedruns. I used to watch them all the time because I absolutely enjoy how they play and such. And I always think, if there's an exploit that's really not hurting anyone and it's not affecting you in any way, just leave it, right? Now, there's a thing where there's exploits like, a lot of people have been doing like the bot zombie unlimited spawn killing things. Yeah, that should definitely get patched. That's an
Yeah.
exploit now. That's something that's boosting in a way. I
Yeah,
know it's
or
in
the
a
AFK
PvE mode.
strats or all that. Yeah, those are
Yeah,
different. Those to me are
yeah,
like, okay, that's actually affecting how you play the game, like in terms of you don't even have to play the game. But with
exactly.
those Easter egg steps, they're kind of just shortcuts. They're not really like actually breaking the game in any meaningful way to where you don't have to play the game. You just basically skip a part or you get an advantage in one of the steps like that. To me, that's what zombies has always been about, especially since BO3, there's been and actually take that back, since Origins, there's been so many different ways to skip steps or have different methods or exploits, whatever you want to call them. Like it's just been like a standard for zombies.
Yeah, like BO2 Origins, the fire staff skip, one of the
Yeah,
biggest skips ever. It's a part of that speed run. It's a
yeah.
part of that
People
speed
even
run.
like it's a part of the map at that point too. It's like people
Yeah,
kind of like
everyone does
know it
it.
for that.
Everyone does it because they just want to skip an annoying step because it's
Yeah,
RNG based. So, you know, stuff like that is fun. It's not hurting anyone. Sure, if Treyarch wants to fix the Easter egg, people can still do it. People can
mhm.
still do the step. They patched it in BO3, but apparently you can still do it with self-medication and stuff. I don't know how people do it, but you can do it in BO3 with self-medication somehow. Um, but, they patched it in BO3, and, I personally just like playing the BO2 Origins more because I can do that skip because I'm not a fan of the RNG step, really.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because at one point, I was waiting 1 hour for the one robot I need to put my staff in, which is insane to even think about that's even possible. Um, yeah, but that's that's the case with speedrun stuff. So last week, Treyarch patched the Terminus Shark Charge skip on and yeah, that was just a bad thing to do because that literally is for a lockdown that takes 2 minutes, and they just patched that. And the thing that they say is that they've been planning to patch that for a while, right? But it just wasn't their priority, right? Because they have other stuff to patch and stuff.
Yeah,
But the problem is that when you keep something in the game like that for 3 months, people are gonna think it's the norm. It's gonna be the norm. And if they don't see it patched for a long time, they're like, "Oh, Treyarch is never gonna patch it." And then Treyarch all of a sudden patches it on January 3rd, and that's like, wow, you effectively just killed the speedrun, and you could have told us that beforehand. They could have put on the
especially
trailer.
because
Yeah,
they could have put on the trail, and especially because they already patched like multiple Easter egg skips already with Liberty Falls and the canister
yeah,
dupe. Like there's already previous patches, so why couldn't they communicated that they were gonna patch that too while they were already patching other steps? Like that's what I
exactly.
don't understand. It's like where is the communication falling? And I
Y-
think that's kind of the problem is that they're not communicating. So they're just making it worse for themselves and making the outrage worse because people are not expecting these things, and now you're basically leading people in wrong directions and creating false expectations.
Exactly. Yeah, the communication with Treyarch, and I have to say, for the past 3 months after the launch of BO6, it hasn't been great. It hasn't
Yeah,
been great. Pre-launch, good. After launch, I don't know what happened. Um, I don't see many of the devs on Twitter anymore. They're
yeah,
not really talking as much. I don't know if it's because they know that the game is in like a pretty bad state, and they know if they tweet something, they're gonna get fix your game. They're gonna get all that toxic stuff and such. So I don't know what's happened in the past 3 months, but they've been pretty quiet, and I personally am not a fan of that because I pretty much vouched for them pre-launch. I said, Treyarch is listening to feedback, and they did. They did listen to feedback pre-launch. Look at the HUD. The whole HUD thing is like the big thing, right?
yeah.
Because that was the biggest thing that people were talking about, and they fixed that. Um, and then with all the other stuff, trying to make higher rounds difficult, the Wonder Fizz and such, all that stuff. Great feedback, and they communicated that. And then 3 months, nothing, 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 nothing. Yeah, they communicate a little bit right there, here and here. They marketed their map and such. They've been on the COD pod. Kevin Drew's been on the COD pod and such. But it's not enough. It's I know people might say like, well, you're asking for too much and such. It's like, it's not really that I'm asking for too much. It's just, as a fan, right? You get that level of communication pre-launch. You expect that to continue throughout the entire year, right?
Yeah.
You expect, the amazing launch of BO6 to continue throughout the entire year. And it's just, that's not the case. Citadel, like right now, I honestly, when it launched, I thought it was one of the best zombies maps. It was probably like a top 10 zombies map. But, you know, now I don't really feel like that because I'm out of the honeymoon phase and I see, the map didn't really offer much and such. In terms of story, a little bit of depth as well and such. And then the whole like, the sword buffs and such. They said that, hey, we're gonna buff all the swords, but only 3 got buffed, 1 got nerfed. And why did
Yeah.
the other one get nerfed? And then I know the nerf wasn't super crazy, and that was mainly because now you can kill 2 zombies with 1 swing, but it's still like, why the nerf? Because now when you actually play the game and see what the sword does, it really only gives you armor based on 1 kill, even though you're killing 2 zombies at once in 1 swing. So really, the sword just got nerfed with the swing speed, and I was like, that's pointless. The nerf would have made sense if you got your armor back for the 2 zombie kills in 1 swing, but you don't. So you basically just nerfed the sword for no reason at all. But yeah, communication wasn't great for the past 3 months. They really, they say look at the Trello board, and I think Milo made a pretty good case of this, Mr. Raffle Waffles, that the Trello board wasn't even updated at all. It wasn't updated at all until he made that point, and then it got updated, which is insane. So if no one ever brought that up, the Trello board would have never been updated then, which is insane to even think about. So I know a lot of people say like, Mr. Waffle Waffles is negative all the time and such. But it's like, no, that's just good criticism towards developers and a studio, and they got to do better. And it's true. There's cases where Treyarch can do better,
Yeah.
and I
Absolutely.
think we definitely saw that this week when they responded, or released an update about the January 3rd update from last week. And here, I think this was a huge win for the zombies community in terms of communication, because when have they ever like really said, "Hey guys, let's talk about the stuff that we nerfed," or like, "We nerfed fun." That was like one of the points on their tweets. Like they literally said, "We nerfed fun in zombies." When have they ever said that? They made that pretty clear right off the get-go. So, yeah, so Treyarch came out on the 9th saying that, hey, we're reverting the nerf to direct in mode, because this is the thing that I never understood about direct in mode, right? I get it. It's a place for people to camo grind and stuff. But if you're going to nerf the mode for that, did they even realize that they were nerfing the mode for the people who are actually trying to learn the Easter egg and actually like get into zombies and such? I don't think they realized that right off the bat. And I think that's where the nerf or the revert is coming from, because they realize, oh, we just screwed over actual players who are playing this mode for the actual reason the mode was developed for. So yeah, like how you feel about like directed mode in general and like how that all played out?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't even played directed mode at all because I'm not finding the camo. But I don't think they should be nerfing that stuff either, to be honest. Like, no one was even asking for it anyway, so I don't think they should have nerfed that in the first place. And I just hope that, like, with this update, that they realize that they kind of shift their mindset of what they decide to nerf and patch, especially post map release, that they change their mindset on these things.
Yeah, definitely. So they reverted the director mode changes that they made. So that's good. So those players who played director mode for either camo grinding or the actual reason the mode was created, which was for to learn the Easter egg and such, they're gonna have a much better experience, which is great. I don't understand why they decided to do that. I like the camo grind is not bad, but it's just I understand where people are coming from, where they don't want to play 30 rounds, get 2,000 headshots, right? I would like people to understand like this is not even remotely bad to what BO4 was. So like whatever we got right here, this is perfect for me. Like if you want to see what pain was like, go back to BO4 or even Vanguard Zombies to see what the camo grind was like, and then come back to me to see if this is actually even worse. I don't think the Nebula grind is bad at all. Um, I definitely think it could have a little bit of you know improvements and stuff. Maybe the special zombies kills they should probably make it a little bit lower. 30 is definitely a lot, and it's
Yeah.
insane. And I think that's probably the most boring part of the entire grind. Um, but overall, it's not a bad grind and such. It's really easy. There is a trick on Citadel. I'm not sure if they're gonna patch that one. I definitely think that one is gonna get patched because that one just infinitely spawns zombies on the game, and you can do that in directed mode, and that's just super OP. So I definitely think that is gonna get patched because that is something that's actually like super like crazy, and that's like an exploit really.
Yeah, it
Um,
affects the game in a big way.
yeah, it affects the game in a lot.
And affects the,
Uh,
like, especially if you know how to do it, it affects like
yeah,
a lot of what people want to do.
yeah, and so director mode aside, they also talked about the LTM with Dead Light Green Light. Um, and my thoughts on LTMs and zombies, I I don't really like them. I think they're not super in depth, really.
Yeah,
Um,
and I just don't see the purpose of them. Like, it's just
yeah,
zombies doesn't need LTMs. Like, if we were gonna get new modes, they need to be new modes for good.
yeah,
Like how BO4 did it. Like at least BO4 experimented with like Rush and Gauntlet, where like those were certified modes for the game. That we need more of that. Zombies with NLTMs, like I just don't see it as substantial content because like what are we really doing here? Like, yeah, it's a cool mode to play, but I'm gonna most likely play it once or twice if there's no real everlasting period of the mode being in the game. There's no reason for me to play it over time. Like there's just no point. That's
yeah,
why I'm, like, concerned for is, like, are we gonna get some of these seasons where they're filled up majority with LTMs and stuff like that? Like, to me, that's what I'm more worried about, is if they make that, like, the key, uh, content for a whole season. That's what I'm worried about.
exactly. Yeah, LTMs really haven't been great. I think Jingle House was pretty good because it allowed you to do the Easter egg and such.
Yeah.
But the thing
It
that
was
they
kinda
did
like the
wrong,
thing it's yeah, it's oh, my bad, sorry. It's just like it's just a thing where you did it once and, like, there wasn't really a reason to do it
yeah,
more.
yeah, yeah, because the thing that they did wrong with Jingle House, is that they removed features from the base game and called it a mode. So they removed the arsenal machine, and they removed the mystery box. So effectively, what they did there was remove ways for you to get higher rarity weapons.
Yeah.
And I think you made a point about this on Twitter and such. but the way Black Ops 6 Zombies is designed is that all these systems, the Arsenal Machine, Pack-a-Punch, the perks, the augment, they all work together in order to make the game work or make the game playable. But if you remove one without updating the others, you're effectively just ruining the game.
Exactly.
So,
Like it's not like
yeah.
BO4 where like obviously in BO4 there wasn't tiered weapons, so how they had it where it was like, okay, this is the balance of the game where if they're gonna remove, say, like the arsenal machine and the upgrades for tiers, like you kind of have to balance that out by either getting double tap or have the pack a punch upgrade.
Yeah. So they removed like the Arsenal Machine. That already was a big no-no. They removed the mystery box. Why? The mystery box is a crucial part of zombies, and you just removed it. So it just ruined the mode for me, right? Because I thought Jingle Hells, was gonna be Black Ops 6 Zombies gameplay, Liberty Falls in a Christmas theme, same map, same playthrough. It's just a thematic change, and then there was just small gameplay additions where if you're outside during a frozen round, you get frozen in place. So like stuff like that is good, but like I said, they removed stuff which made the game less enjoyable, and it was miserable playing that mode, honestly, because they removed that. Um, so LTMs overall and the dead light green light, I don't think they really understand what people wanted with that mode. They don't want a round cap. Like, no, the problem was not that it was round capped at 10. It was round capped at 10 and there was no Easter eggs. You just had to survive. Right? So, what's the point of playing the mode? If I wanted to get to round 20, I'll just play the regular zombies mode, you know? And then you can't even do the swords in the LTM. Can't do anything. It's super bare bones. So it's like I don't know if this mode was just designed just for the sake of having a mode in zombies for the Squid Game event, just to please the investors and such. I don't know, but
I would assume it's because they had some sort of contract or agreement for a certain amount of content with Netflix and stuff.
yeah, it was probably that something like that. But overall, not a fan of it. I What I want to see is not LTMs. Like you said, I want to see modes that are fun. Rush was
Yeah.
fun. Rush was fun. Gauntlets were fun. It was great,
And it
but
was a
I think
different way to play zombies. Like it wasn't
yeah,
just, hey, this is round based. Like this, like stuff like that, like gauntlets and like grief, like those change how zombies are played. Like these dead light, green light, all this stuff. It's basically just like modifiers on normal round based gameplay, which isn't really like why would I replay that? There's no point. Like I'm just gonna play normal zombies. I want something that actually changes the gameplay up and the
yeah,
way to play the game and
yeah,
how to
and
progress in
like
the game.
so like gauntlets, right? I know one
Yeah.
of the problems with gauntlets was that it was the same challenge every round, so we already knew what the challenges were. So a lot of people were saying it should be randomized. It should be randomized challenges, and I think that would solve the gauntlet problem right off the bat. And you can bring back gauntlets, and you already have 3 maps in this game to do it. So gauntlets are definitely gauntlet is a great mode. It's just it didn't have the randomizing effect, so you already know what to do. So you were just preparing beforehand, going through all of it and such. Um, and then I know we talked about, well, I know we didn't bring it up, but we were also talking about grief at one point, making a return in this game. And I think grief should definitely return. I definitely think, um, grief has been gone from the game for a long time, and this is a game where grief could really work because I think it's interesting because you have augments now. So when playing grief, you're gonna be choosing your own augments, and other people might be choosing different augments and such. Um, so I think that might be interesting to see. Um, I don't know what do you think about grief coming into Black Ops 6 if it's actually coming at any point.
Oh yeah, no, I think that grief could be really good, but I obviously want to see what they change to grief because I'd be surprised if there was just like a pure copy and paste. Like I wonder what they would change to like spice it up a little bit and make the mode a little different.
Yeah. So yeah, from there, so yeah, LTMs, um, they definitely could be better. I think they're not the best thing, and I don't think really Treyarch should be focusing their efforts on that. I think they should be focusing on efforts on bringing permanent game modes that actually are fun. Stuff like Grief, stuff like Gauntlet, something like Rush, maybe even something like I don't know, Zombie Blood Rush. Maybe they should like take a picture, a page of out of that mode's book. Maybe talk with the person who created that game mode and really implement that into their game because that mode in BO3 is so much fun to watch, and I really want to see that become mainstream. Um, but unfortunately, you know, with all of that, Treyarch is definitely not going to be doing that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they will do it eventually, or maybe it's just something that Activision really doesn't think about at this moment in time. Um, but yeah, that's my thoughts on the LTMs and modes. Um, so yeah, they basically just increase the round cap for Deadlight Green Light to 20. Doesn't solve the problem at all. So looks like it's just going to be a throwaway mode at this point until season 2 starts. Um, and then the biggest thing I think is that they're actually reverting the speedrun patch. Um, so basically, they're bringing back the shock charge skip in Terminus once again. Now, the way they worded it is like they're actually gonna add it as a feature rather than an actual, bug or glitch or exploit. Um, so this is the first time that a speedrun skip is coming back in a patch. I don't think we've ever had that before. You know, it's not like they went back to like BO2, patch the fire stab skip, and then just said, "Hey, 8 years later, we're just gonna revert this patch." That's never happened. So this is the first time this has happened, and it's crazy because you would think that the speedrun community is not big enough in Treyarch's eyes, but now it seems like it is the case, and it's like now they're seeing like, oh, there's many different communities now in this game, and they need to support all of it. It's not just one community. So what are your thoughts on them reverting this speedrun skip because it's huge?
I think it's a good thing, and as long as they go forward and they don't just like if they change their mindset based off of what they did, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. I do want to say, however, a lot of people have been saying like, "Oh, this is just a safe face," right? They seen so much drama, so much negativity, so they just had to put this blog post out just to get our goodwill back. Um, but what I would say to that, right, is that um, I applaud them for actually communicating, right? I know people have been saying, well, we shouldn't celebrate the bare minimum from them. And, you know, I'll give it fair props to that. I know, we've have a lot of, negative things to, say and critique about Black Ops 6 Zombies for the past 3 months on how the game could be better. I have a lot of things that I think Black Ops 6 Zombies could be better. I've been saying for a long time that the Easter egg rewards haven't been great, right? They're
Yeah, the rewards in
nowhere.
general have not been
Yeah,
great.
yeah, they're not great. There's no incentive to do the Easter egg more than one time. There's nothing at all. You just do it one and done, and that's it. there's no incentive to go ahead and do the Easter egg again. Um, and something that I was watching actually Milo's podcast last night, when they were talking with all the speedrunners and such, like he made a point that like he was talking with one of the developers and he was telling them, like there should be, incentivizing like players to do the Easter eggs more. And he was talking about how like the developer, just gave him like a weird look. Like that's not our goal right now. But at the end of the day, it should be. Don't you want more players playing zombies? Don't you want more players doing the Easter egg? Wasn't that the whole point of directed mode and such? Wasn't that the whole point of making the Easter eggs more easier in Cold War? So it's like I'm not
Yeah,
understanding this mindset, right? Um, so there's no incentives to do the Easter egg more than once. And I think that's one of the big problems with BO6 because it's just not there. I've been asking many times for an Easter egg counter for all the maps. Black Ops 4 had it, and the reason why I did a lot of the Black Ops 4 zombies Easter eggs, well, one, because they were fun to do, but also I just wanted to have a high completion counter. Um, it's not like a huge incentive and I didn't get rewarded for it, but it was something, to show off. You know, I have 100 completions on Classified. Yeah, I went to 150 100 times. People will look at me
mhm,
like you're crazy, but it's like something to show off. So I
yeah,
want, stuff like incentives to be in zombies. Um, I made a tweet in reply to Mr. Dalek JD's post about one thing that they should add to Black Ops 6 Zombies, and I said, they should add more rewards based on your completions. So I made it tiered, like 5 completions, 10 completions, 25 completions, 50 completions, 75 completions, and 100 completions. And then like the last completion, which is 100 completions, will be like the tier 3 pap camo of the map. So like if I have that camo and it's something that no one has, it basically shows off that like, oh yeah, I've done uh the Terminus Easter egg 100 times. So rewards like that are great and I want them to do more of that.
yeah. That's
Um
what I want too. And my worry is that they're being really stingy with those type of rewards in the game compared to last year with Modern Warfare 3. There's been no camo rewards really for exterior events or event challenges. Like it's been really weird how we've kind of went backwards in that way. I hope that that's not permanent because I do agree with you. There needs to be more camera awards. Like, imagine doing an Easter egg 50 times and you get well, like you said, a pack a punch camo or a specific camo to that map. Like, imagine it's uh Terminus and it's like this green camo, like that has like tentacles on it or like something like that, like a blueprint, something to that nature that really like makes you feel like, hey, I got this special reward for doing something that not everyone's gonna do. Like it's almost like for an example, like in Warzone, I don't know, you remember how there was the nuke?
yeah, the new
Like you get
contracts.
the nuke. Yeah, like that. Like that's like a special thing that only a certain amount of people have done, and it rewarded you with a special camo for doing it. And it
Yep.
actually showed off like, hey, I did this thing that only 1% of people have done. Like, and I got this reward from it, and it actually is meaningful to me because it's a camo on my gun. Like, that's what I'm saying, man. It's like, there needs to be more camo rewards and event challenges and LTM events if they're into like Squid Games again, or just regular gameplay based things. Like, in general, there just needs to be more.
Yeah. For sure. Like I did the new contract. I did it on Rebirth and Urzikstan in one season in Warzone because I was actually enjoying Warzone a bit. And I went for them and I got the rewards and it's like it's so cool that I have those rewards that are so unobtainable now and I can just show it off and no one can have not a lot of people have them, right? Um so I want that for zombies. And
Mhm.
the crazy thing is that a lot of people have been replying to my tweet about the whole Easter egg thing. They've been saying like, "Oh, but 100 completions is too much." I'm like, that's the point of the rewards. It's not meant for everyone. You know, if you want to grind, you grind for it. You get rewarded for it. They all rewards should not be catered to everyone, right? No one's gonna get the nuke contract 100% of the time. Not everyone's gonna have the nuke operator skin, the new operator camo and such. Not everyone's gonna have that. That's the whole point. It's a grind and people should work for it. Um so yeah, that's how I feel about like the Easter egg rewards and such. I think, you know, the criticisms that I have are that. So I want Treyarch to communicate more on top of that, right? They hopefully this is not just like, hey, we have to save face for for the time being until season 2, right? We got to get the good graces of the community back before season 2. I hope that's not the case. I hope they actually did it out of the goodness of their hearts. It's funny to even say, but I hope they did it out of the goodness of their hearts to actually, you know, make us feel like, we matter and they just want to make a fun game for all of us, right? And that's what I can hope for in the future. Um, so yeah, Treyarch definitely responded in a great manner, and I only hope it goes well from here. Um, so yeah, any last thoughts on that?
No, I think you wrapped it up perfectly.
All right, so just to wrap up the podcast here, um, what do we think? Other than communication and stuff, you know, what else Treyarch and maybe even the community can do from here until season 2, right? We have a couple weeks until season 2 launches, and I think we pretty much know that we're not going to be getting a map season 2 launch. I don't even think it's coming in Reloaded. I've kind of been saying that I don't even think a map should release in season 2. I definitely think they should hold back the map until like season 3. Because I want them to figure out what they want to do with zombies first and then release the map. Because if they just release the map, it's gonna fall into the same pattern with Citadel and such. And I don't want that to happen with the
Yeah.
next map.
Yeah, that as long
Um
as the delay actually benefits that, because I don't want a way where we wait all this time and then we get that same issue anyway. That'd
yeah.
be like a worse scenario where we go through this big drought and the next map isn't living up to those expectations and standards, which is kind of worrying because like I feel like the issue with this game is that it's all these issues are exterior problems that I feel like a delay in the map wouldn't even guarantee the problems of the game being resolved, which is kind
Yeah.
of the issue. It's like, yeah, okay, we might have to wait an extra month for a map, but like, how are we guaranteed that any of the issues are actually solved? Like, there's no real way to like guarantee that when it's out of their control. Like, obviously, the AI controversies and stuff of that nature. It's like that's not really stuff that they can control. So it's like I feel like they're in a really Treyarch's in a really tricky spot right now, and with the community as well. I feel like everyone's in a tricky spot because we could wait, but then we could also not get what we wanted if we wait anyway. So it's just like a really bad situation.
Yeah. So yeah. Um I feel like, a map delay would be beneficial if, they actually fix a lot of the problems and they figure out what they truly want to do with Black Ops 6 Zombies. But like you said, if they just delay it and nothing happens, nothing changes, we just wasted a whole month waiting for the same problem again.
Yeah, and plus I feel like again they're by all means they should be ahead of schedule because like they already are, if I assume, working on the next game and the next game's maps. Like, I would assume they would have to take people off of this game, put it to the next game. So they would already be very much ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Like how obviously current maps are. Like right now, they're probably already working on the last touches for DLC 3 and 4, and then also the next game. So it's like I think it's interesting how this is gonna go and how they're gonna spread out the content. Because, bro, I just don't want it to where we get to see like, bro, if we don't get anything, any kind of special announcements this month during 115 month, like, it's just gonna feel weird to me,
Oh
eh
yeah,
like,
and
imagine we
I
get 115 and they just go, "Hey, guys, look at this," like, I'm not obviously, I like when they do this, but, like, I remember was it last year where they just shared fan art? It's like,
yeah,
that's, like,
it's
obviously,
been
that's
for the
really cool, but, like
past couple of years, like fan art, and then like I think Vanguard was like a crazy one because, or like yeah, Vanguard, because I think what was it? They added the Cold War Super Easter egg.
yeah, I believe so. I think
Yeah,
you're
they
right.
added the Cold War Super Easter egg, and then they announced that Round Base was coming back in Vanguard. So like
Yeah.
that was huge, but it was like, I mean, like Round Base coming back to Vanguard, that's just like to save face for
I
Vanguard.
think the
So
best 115 day was when they did the, well, there's 2. They did one where they did, like, a Q&A with Blundell. I think it was during BO4's life cycle, and
yeah,
they did one after BO4. I don't know if you remember, it was the year after BO4 when MW19 was out, but they revealed that there was a Cagger Toad Easter egg. Remember
oh
that?
yeah, the
That
Don't Freeze.
Yeah, that was another one where I was like, "Okay, that's really cool." I liked it. That's like
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, like, it doesn't have to be something, like, in the new that's in the game. I just want them to actually speak to the community in one way, b either announce a future content update or talk to the community about what they're trying to fix and work on, or a combination of the sort. Like, that's what I want. I want there's to be something, because if we get the season 2 roadmap and it's basically like majority Warzone and multiplayer, it's just gonna be like, I feel like zombie creators have already been through this path with MW3, that they're gonna have less patience this time around if they see a
yeah,
roadmap where it has little to nothing for zombies. We've
yeah,
already seen that so many times in MW3.
yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, I definitely think Treyarch from here on, you know, it's all really about communication
Yeah.
and really just trying to make zombies, something replayable, have more incentives towards it, and just make, a mode that they can be proud of. I definitely think they're
Mhm.
proud of this mode. And I definitely love this mode. I think this mode is definitely one of the most fun zombies mode we had, but it definitely hasn't reached its full potential. And I only hope from here it can get better.
Yeah,
Um,
me
but
too.
I think, with 115 day, like you mentioned, coming up, I think that would probably be a good time to like talk on the podcast about that, see what they do for that day and such.
Yeah.
Um, so that will definitely be our second episode. But I think that will wrap it up for this first episode of the Wunder Bar podcast. We really dove deep into how we felt about Black Ops 6 Zombies in the first 3 months. We talked about how we felt and such. We talked about how, Treyarch responded and such. And then we talked about how, what Treyarch can really do for the future from here on out up until season 2 and any future seasons. So I think we'll wrap it up there. If you guys have any topics that you guys want to, hear, or like any, 115 things that you possibly want to see, I think 115 days on Wednesday, right?
Yes, pretty sure. Yeah.
One Wednesday? No, it's
Yep.
actually. Oh yeah,
Yep.
it is Wednesday. All right, so 115 day is gonna be on Wednesday. So if you have any topics related to 115, or any topics in general that you want us to talk about, leave it in the comment section below. I'll definitely look through them and see what we can talk about for the next episode. But that'll be all for this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.